Hello, 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 and it is Lady Flo here with you once again with our second podcast today with the speakers of the Business Grind Out, hosted by Ways Community Development Corporation. And today I have with me the great Dr. Tyrone Freeman. Is that correct? Did I say it right? I got to make sure I say it right, because he looks like he's kind of demanding. So let me make sure I get it right. Okay, Dr. Tyrone Freeman.
And I don't talk a lot. I don't say a word. I don't say a word. Was on my grind and now I got what I deserve. Fuck nigga. Hold up, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished. When I bought the ass tomorrow, y'all thought it was rented. Flexing on these.
Dr. Freeman, from what I've heard, you guys, he does it very, very well in everything that he does, and I am humbly grateful to sit in front of you on today.
Oh, thank you very much, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity to share with you and the audience just some thoughts and, just chopping it up a little bit today.
Yeah, we're going to chop it up a little bit, okay? And you all already know words that I don't understand. I ask the meaning to so that we all understand, okay? So we're going to get started. Can you tell us first just a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do?
So basically, I spent a lot of time focusing on business development and growing businesses and starting businesses for the wannabe entrepreneur, or those who are engaged in business and moving forward. I run and created Maven Innovative Consultancy, which is a firm that really works on establishing the ground roots and principles for successful business, particularly those of minorities, and how we can move forward and work collectively to achieve our gains of building profits and changing our community.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. So can you give us today, I'm going to pick your brain, just some of the tools that business leaders need to have in order to be successful?
Well, the first tool that I like to talk about is the opportunity for business and entrepreneurs and those seeking to understand the importance of extracting emotional decisions from decisions that are scientifically based so that profitability can be attained as the goal without involving our emotions.
Help us today. Look, I felt like church, y'all, because that was one of the main things that I had to deal with, was separating my emotions from the business. That's not just my entrepreneur business, but also in corporate as well. And I didn't realize that that was actually a problem. And I found out late into business, which I really should have known, like you said, at the beginning. Because doing it with emotions can put some things in some bad positions, different strategies and different things in bad positions when you choose to move through emotions. Can I read that loud in there? You all, give me one moment, please. 1 minute. I had to literally stop. I'm doing a podcast. They going? Okay. All right, thank you. Do I need to start over? No, you're good. You good? Okay. Because they were like,
I'm not sure they should start over.
I think we probably should. You want to start over? So sorry, you guys. Beautiful. Look. Love it. Okay, that was it. All right. You're doing a great job. I turned the air on because I know it's hot up there.
Did you realize that you were a champion in their eyes? Yes, I did. So I packed it up and brought it back to the crib. Just a little something, show you how we live. Everybody doing it, but it ain't that serious.
Hello, world. Thank you and welcome back to our second podcast today for the Business Grind Out, hosted by Ways Community Development Corporation. And I have with me now Dr. Tyrone Freeman.
And I don't talk a lot. I don't say a word. I don't say a word. Was on my grind and now I got what I deserve. Fuck nigga.
Welcome.
Thank you, Flo. Thank you for having me.
Look, this is going to be amazing. I've heard a lot of things about Dr. Tyrone Freeman, so I am humbly grateful that I can actually sit across from him and pick his brain a little bit about business and how to do business. So first, let's start off, Dr. Freeman, and tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, currently I run my firm, and I created about 15 years ago, called Maven Innovative Consultancy. And we focus on the new entrepreneur, the startup person, or the interested person in business. And we develop the strategies and tools that result in effectiveness and outcomes. And we really learn the lessons, both from academic structure, studies, and actually from experience about how our businesses, particularly those of minority ran and women ran from our communities, can achieve their goals.
That is absolutely wonderful, something that we all need, especially for the startup of things, because a lot of times we're just winging it and we don't want to actually sometimes even just spend money to make money, to invest in the right people to make sure that our businesses are successful. And from what I'm seeing from the things that he's put his hands on, he's been pretty successful with actually growing those into business development to multi-million-dollar corporations. So that is absolutely, that's why I say we really need to pick your brain today. So the first question I want to deal with you about is about the business tools. What's the main tool that we may need in order to be successful as a business?
Well, look, I think one of the things that is important is that there are a variety of tools. It's just really like having a toolbox, and it really depends on the particular industry and struggle. But one of the fundamental principles that I think particularly those of us of color and really success in business, and it's not taught in business schools, is that we have to learn to extract our emotions from our decisions. We have to realize that what we're doing in business and to achieve those goals requires decisions that go against our mindset that we've been taught culturally and raised to involve our emotions in the things we do. But we have to understand in business to make that right decision. And it's not about all the formulas that they put out there for us. I went through all of that academically. It truly is about separating our emotions from our decisions in business, and we will be successful because there is, for what I believe, an innate driven desire of people of color from our communities and where we come from to succeed because we know the game. We know how to hustle, but the reality is applying those principles is what I teach in regards to those who come under my tutelage.
That is amazing. It's almost like applying. It's like, okay, you bring in the wisdom. Mm-hmm. You know, we have the tools, and that's the knowledge. Right. But then the wisdom is being able to apply that knowledge. So you assist with making sure that that knowledge is applied to what it needs to be in order to get the results that you're expecting or that individual is expecting. And I can really say I understand that about emotions. Because me in business as an entrepreneur, that was one of the main things until I met my husband, that I didn't even realize that my emotions were involved with my decisions in entrepreneurship and also in corporate. And I didn't realize that. And if I had have known that in the beginning, I know that I would have been way down the road with just that one. That is very, very important. So far down the road, if I had have been able to understand that, okay, let's remove emotions first. That's amazing. So define or summarize a workshop today.
Yes, today what I discussed and talked about were two of the major principles and tools that I think everyone getting into business should learn how to both use but also to accept. And that whole requirement is based on changing our mindset. Yes, the reality of how to move forward is really having a mindset that allows for growth, productivity, innovation, and learning. And that goes against our cultural norm of what we're taught to do. So today what I focused on is the principles of changing the mindset, but most importantly, I focused on two tools, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit. The first tool is one of the major structural problems we have in setting up our businesses is being able to identify problems, or being able to identify the customers that are most profitable for us, right? Or identifying the services that are most profitable for us. And oftentimes, if you talk to a small business person, they really don't have a formula as to why they do what they do. They just say, I do it, right? Or they actually will take an investment where the investor actually directs the day-to-day operation, and the whole principle and reason for starting their business is lost in the long run. Because it goes beyond the opportunity of just creating millions of dollars from where you start. Because if those millions of dollars aren't legacy, meaning passing it on to your children and then you're actually being successful yourself, but at the end of the day, you have nothing to pass on. It reminds me in a sense of professional sports. I love athletes. I love the way they move forward. But at the end of the day, the wealth that a superstar makes today is not, and that making that wealth playing ball is not necessarily guaranteed for the child. However, if they conduct a business that's based on principles, it becomes a family business. Look, all the wealthy legacy holders in our society that built America, we can name the family names, you can name them, and the reality is the families are still running it today.
Absolutely.
300 years later.
300 years later.
There's a lesson learned, and I hope to teach that. I'm talking about the real McCoy.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. So let's discuss the top reasons of business faith.
Yeah, so academically I researched and found that, over studies done over the last 5 years, there is a lot of commonality in those studies. And so I think that what I'm about to say for those reasons are very important. So first of all, one of the biggest mistakes, 42% of those in across the board survey found that there's no market need for the business that they created. I mean, basically because family business and in the community, people are like, well, man, let me do this. I know how to make, shrimp and grits, and at the end of the day, I want to make it. Well, if there's no market needs, if people in that community or in that target audience don't like that or don't need it, then you're creating a business that's doomed to fail.
Absolutely.
The second reasons business fails, and this was really interesting to me because it really dropped down significantly, was the lack of cash. The lack of cash came in second, but it was very close to third, fourth, and fifth. And the third, of course, was having the correct team. So individuals that didn't have the correct team. Look, hiring your cousin and your uncle or starting a business with them isn't necessarily how you create a legacy family business, right? People say that, but at the end of the day, sometimes those relatives aren't the best business partners. And that's one of the reasons why businesses fail today, too. Mm-hmm. And price cost came in fourth, following the fact of the matter that just the opportunity being limited. And what I found in those studies was the lack of cash. Having the money was very far off from the no need in the market, right? And that tells me something, particularly minority business. That tells me that at the end of the day, decisions are being made on emotional driven issues instead of scientific issues that says what's right, what needs to be done, or fad or trending issues. People are being misled by Instagram and Facebook and saying, hey, I can go do that. But the reality is if you examine the books and you look at the t-shirt maker that's got 1 million followers, reality is they're probably not got a margin at all that would be profitable for you, so the business fails in 5 years.
Absolutely.
And that's something that we've got to pull ourselves away from and learn how to extract and figure out what tools do I need to use to implement success.
Absolutely. And that is so many nuggets in so short amount of time. I'm like, okay, can I just, like you had that gravy, you had that mashed potatoes and gravy, and then you had that roll, and it's like, yeah. And at the end, you kind of, like, I'm from the South, and you take that roll to get the rest of the gravy off the plate. It is too many nuggets, too many at one time. So even, so as you walk them through that, so what's your process in the midst of that? What do you do in the midst of that to get them to that point? Can you shed some light on that for us?
There's two principal tools that I teach at the beginning to get everyone to understand what those reasons are. And what those reasons do that we just talked about is they identify in the back cabinets of the mind of the entrepreneur I'm working with areas to stay away from. You know, Warren Buffett actually made an important quote. He says, look, if you tell me I'm going to die in Florida, I'm not going to go to Florida until I die. I'm ready to die, right?
Absolutely.
I'm going to stay away from there. So what I did in
Absolutely.
identifying those top reasons is we've got to now implement tools that keep us away from those top 5 reasons I just talked about so that our business doesn't hit the failure button, right?
Absolutely.
So the thing that I talked about is one of the things I'm really into is the Pareto chart, using that as a tool to identify the problems or to identify the particular products or services that create the wealth for the company or that take away the resources that could be diverted to another place. And I'm going to talk about that real quick. And that's what the workshop was on today, using that tool and how that tool is really one that couldn't be used for everyone, including the listeners today. And basically what it is this. It says that 80% of the effects are caused by are impacted by 20% of causes. Or, in other words, 80% of your profit is determined by 20% of your customers. And the reality is if you're able to identify the services that create the profitability for your customers, and spend those resources on that, then that's going to lead your business to success. The biggest issue is diverting resources and time and issues to the wrong things, and then finding out your tank is empty and you haven't increased the business profitability.
Wow, that's good.
The second thing really is negotiations, and today's workshop was about the Pareto chart, but I want to talk a little bit about negotiations. The fundamental thing that missing in front of all issues. If you're going to start a business, all the listeners, if you're in business now, if you've got something going on, one of the fundamental skills that you really have to develop is negotiations. Look, at the end of the day, I'm going to give you a scenario if I can.
Yes, please.
At the end of the day, it's all about your ability to negotiate the terms. Here's the example. If you're an entrepreneur starting, no matter what it may be, and you have investors that come in, the first thing that you need to know is the basic skills of negotiations. And you've got to really work on that even before you move your product or your idea to the forefront. Why? Well, when investors come in, they're coming in with negotiators. They're coming in to negotiate their term in regards to what they can extract from you of value in order to get their money and to use their money for the business. That's basically their objective, right? And if you don't know how to negotiate, you're giving away equity that's far above and beyond what anybody should be. It doesn't even make sense. And the second thing is that you have terms or conditions that will never allow you to have legacy. So here's an example. When you start a business, say you want to start a business, say you're in a fashion business, and a big corporate industry comes in, let's say Reebok, right? Reebok comes in and says, hey, I like your shirt, your t-shirt, your shoes. You know what? You got great design principles. We're going to come in and work with you and provide you sponsorship and give you our distribution channels. And you're sitting back like, wow, yeah. But they're coming in at that initial meeting and upon their investment principles to negotiate with you. And if you don't have negotiating skills, what you're going to end up doing is giving away rights and things that at the end of the day, you have no legacy. And I want to give a prime example of what I'm talking about negotiations, right? And I teach this. I think fundamental tools using the Pareto chart and negotiations. But let me tell you, if you can negotiate, you can achieve far above and beyond things and really lead yourself to never hit those 5 top reasons. The fundamental problem we have, particularly of people of color and minorities, is we're not good negotiators or don't have those skills. One of the biggest problems I think we have also is giving that fundamental function of negotiations away. You never control your business from the day you make the deal. Who do they give it to? No disrespect, but they give it to attorneys. It's amazing to me how many attorneys negotiate business deals and don't have an MBA or any business experience. Now, I have a doctorate degree, but it's in business. You wouldn't let me do open heart surgery. You'd be a fool to let somebody that ain't do open heart surgery do open heart surgery. Why is it comfortable to let somebody that's an officer of the court negotiate your business deal that ain't got no business experience? And you'll never get it back. That's why all of the business, if you talk to a successful determine themselves to be successful, but not legacy creators. They'll say, oh, my attorney negotiated that deal. Well, guess what? That means you don't know nothing about something you can pass on to your kid, because if not, that attorney can pass it on to his kids, but that attorney can't pass it on to yours. Legacy is about you learning. You know, a lot of people say, well, the first $300,000 of my business, I'm going to make sure I write every check. There is some truth to that, and you should be engaged. But I would tell you this. If you really want to control your business, learn how to negotiate your deals of your investment and your investors. Then you know the terms of which your business operates, right? If you know those terms, then you understand how to overcome the challenges that you may
Yes,
face.
absolutely.
So nobody can call you, as we say, nobody can call your number. You know what I'm saying?
Pull your car.
Pull your car.
Yes,
Hey, man,
yes.
pull your wig back. I mean, you just all exposed right now. Like, no, I know the terms,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And so what I fundamentally believe that we have to do is to be successful is learn negotiations. That's what I focus on first. I said, look, if you call me today, want my services, the first thing we're going to do is spend 4 or 5 months on teaching you negotiations, how to develop your business. So we're going to grow. We're going to start fundamentals. I know all of that stuff. We know it. I can teach it. But negotiations is really key. If you can negotiate those terms, all of them, including your suppliers, right, then you control your ability, and you're not giving away the kitchen sink. It's just amazing to me as we look at what's happening and we look at corporate America always spends a whole vast amount of time with negotiators. When they send people in, those are negotiating teams on it. Someone that has a venture capitalist firm, it's all about negotiations. It's about who can negotiate. Who's the deal? If you're a music artist out there and they're watching this and you want to get on a label, it's about your ability and your power to negotiate.
Absolutely. 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 Well, I do thank you so much. Is there any other thing, as far as like nonprofits or any other thing that you do outside of business that people may be interested in outside of what you're doing here today?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the concepts that I teach and grow are based on not just business, but also fundamentally nonprofits, any objective that people want to meet. I believe that all in life and everything that we do, whether it's a nonprofit, whether you want to coach or do something for your community, those principles, that's why I teach them, are reliable. And they will sustain any challenge from any business academic, from anyone that tries to say, oh, well, I know how to do it. And I say this, too, outsiders, what I try to do with all of my clients is walk them through the process. Just as the president of this organization, it was a concept. Now it's a multi-million-dollar organization in Englewood.
This right here, this organization, WAYS, healthcare agency as well, WAYS Community Development Corporation. This was the president's mentor here to make this business or this dream of what they wanted to bring forth in the community a reality. It was his business laws, his creations that brought this to this point. That is why I believe in it. Like, okay, Dr. Freeman, let me eat everything that you have.
I want everybody to eat. Come on, eat.
Come on and eat, because when you can see it in action, many people you have to talk business and say, this is what you need. But very seldom do you see the resume or you see the legacy of what they're doing. You just said, oh, I do this, I do that. But with Dr. Freeman, look, we literally see the legacy of his work, literally. So can you give them, I know they're going to post up some things that how to get in contact with you. Can you give them some of your Instagram information? If somebody's watching right now, say, hey, I just want to find them on Instagram or on anywhere, what would they do?
Well, most importantly, it's LinkedIn. That's the only one I kind of roll
LinkedIn?
with. Yeah, LinkedIn and Tyrone Freeman, and you'll find me on there. And most importantly, Maven Innovative Consultancy. If you go to my website, www.maveninnovativeconsultancy.com, and I always take clients on a referral basis, and I interview. See, I'm being quite honest. I don't take everybody, because at the end of the day, it's not about that. I take anybody. I will take anyone that's willing to change the mindset and to create legacy. If you're willing to create legacy, I'm your consultant and your guys. If you just want to hit and roll, then that's just not me. I'm about something you can pass on and establish. And guess what? Can I tell you that it's a winning formula? The reality is I can be placed in any room with anyone and still academically hold my own. And the reality is I spend that knowledge and resources in our community. And now the president can sit in any room, multi-million-dollar business, in a period of 5 years maturity date, and started from an idea. And I told her, you can do it. Allow me to coach you, to drive, to teach you how to do it. And the thing that I do is I walk you all the way through the process. And then you can decide at the end of the day whether you want to run a company or use your skills to run new ideas and to be a top position and in other companies and create more opportunities.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I'm going to see if Ms. Kedron Johnson will refer me.
You're good to go.
Kenny, if you happen to go back and look at, okay, I need a referral. Can you help your girl out?
Absolutely, I think that's important because what a referral does is it builds us a community ties.
Yes.
And we lose that oftentimes. There's oftentimes so much trauma and issues that go on in our community. We think we got to go elsewhere. And what I try to do is create that referral net. I believe that we as a community can grow and move forward, and I'm committed to that. And at the end of the day, all of us can have an opportunity to create wealth and legacy. It's just a question of, are we committed to that change in our mind from the way they told us it had to be done to the way it ought to be done?
Yes, that is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Well, I thank you so much for taking the time out to share with us what you do. And listen, I'm telling you, I'm about to call him the man with the plan. When you see the results, you can't say, okay, this is a man with a plan and knows how for the correct way to achieve what you're desiring to achieve.
Yes.
So it does take hard work and dedication, I know, in order to and be able to accept your opportunities, because a lot of times we as people, when we're doing business, we don't want to accept that there are opportunities that we have that we could utilize, and we could change those to make us better. So facing those opportunities and dealing with Dr. Freeman, you may become a millionaire, okay? Well, thank you so much for your time. We'll be back a little bit later. We're still doing it. We're here all day, business grind out.
Come on down.
Here at Ways Community Development Corporation. But let me tell you this. One thing that was very important this morning was Senator Bradford was here this morning, and they gave us, do you have yours in here? I don't think so.
I know I have it over in the other room.
They gave us actually awards, for us being here and volunteering and helping in the community where we can. And that lets you know when the senator shows up, when the congressmen show up. We had congresswoman downstairs. And when they're here, it lets you know that, hey, Ways is here to help the people.
Yes.
We're here to help the community. Everything today is absolutely free. We're here till 8 p.m. It's business grind out. If you don't have anything else to do and you're sitting on your couch and saying, hey, how can I get to that? Come on down here to Ways Community Development Foundation today and get into some of these classes. As you can see, this is a second guest. And it's no fluff. It's all things that you need, the tools you need in order to be successful in business. And that's all I have for you now. And continue to make it a great day. And I will too. Lady Flo signing out. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Did you realize that you were a champion in their eyes? Yes, I did. So I packed it up and brought it back to the crib. Just a little something, show you how we live. Everybody doing it, but it ain't that serious.